Why it's so important for you to work in your project management muscle memory. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management specialist. I help professionals to become successful project managers. One of the ways of doing that is like I have a development program or I have a mentoring program where I help them to give them right feedback, to provide them knowledge, to guide them to their career, to practical knowledge or consulting knowledge, helping them in their projects, to create timelines, to organize their structure, create procedures, risk management, and so on. The topic that I decided today, it's basically something that happened with me this morning, and I see a lot of good connections. So let me first explain to you. I'm talking about muscle memory. If you don't know what's a muscle memory, it's like if you know how to ride a bike, and if you were good at doing that, and suddenly you spend years without riding a bike, you just when you hop on a bike, you are going to be able to do it again. Why? Because you have a muscle memory. That means that you can do something in general, like your body can execute something without thinking. And how I come up with this kind of insight. I've been practicing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for a couple of months right now, and in one of of course, every session you do some type of training. Why? Because we are trying to first you gain some knowledge in how to do the movements, and then you go for a sparring session. Then when you're trying to build some kind of muscle memory there. So what do you want? You want to be able to react for something with your muscle memory will react, your body will react, you are going to do something automatically. So you don't need to keep thinking about how I'm going to do it. You don't need to think about how you're going to ride a bike. Or if you jump in a pool, you're going to start to swimming. You're not going to think about, oh, what should I do first? Do I need to put one arm or the other arm? That's about to muscle memory. And how does it relate that with project management? Well, because in project management you have a lot of different types of skill. For example, you can go from building a timeline, drafting a business case, up to emotional intelligence, leadership skills, teamwork. What's the thing? For all those types of skills, you also can build what kind of between brackets, of course, a muscle memory, so to make sure that you can execute those skills in a more automatically way. Why I'm saying that? Because, for example, if you are in a project and then you are in a meeting, you need your leadership skills to kick in fast. It's not like you're going to have a time, analyze it, then you come back to do something. So if there's a discussion with the team, you need to interact. You need to be able to perform right. People are going to expect you a reaction from your side straightforward right away without keep thinking or without saying, "Oh, I'm going to rethink about something." But so what's that? If you work on your skills, you can develop your skills, so you start to build up the muscle memory. So it's very important, like in the case I just mentioned for the jiu-jitsu that I'm doing it. What happened in a real spar situation? If you don't know what's a spar situation, it's kind of we simulate a fight or a competition environment where you try to, of course, overcome and win over your opponent. And that will help you to build the skills to know how to react when those things happen. And this can be exactly translated to the project management reality. So it's very important that you look for the skills that you need to develop and you start to work and practice those things to the point that you're going to be able to execute those things with a minimum effort. And of course, when I'm talking about a minimum effort, everything that you're going to do, that's going to be an effort. Of course, what you want, it's your brain to be capable of because you've seen so much, you've seen so many different types of projects that you can just go and start one. So when someone starts ask for you how you're going to start a project, your your brain will kick it in. So, oh, to start a project, what do I need to start a project? First, I need to have an understanding what kind of requirements we are talking about, have an understanding on stakeholders, what are initial project risks or constraints that I need to be careful of, what are my team members, how we are going to work, what's the project goal there. Those are the basic information that you're going to end up needing to start a project. So you don't need to think every time that someone asks you this kind of questions, or every time that you need to start a project in real life, you're not going to be overthinking, oh, how do I start a project? How do I start a project? And that keeps consuming. Exactly the same thing for a timeline. If you have a project and say, okay, I need to start to build a project timeline, you are going to go and start executing it with minimum effort, just considering what you need to learn about your project to execute it. That's kind of muscle memory that you can develop. Or even for leadership, you're going to have a discussion with your team, and suddenly you reach a point. Then you need to understand, okay, how you are going to progress, how you are going to work on your emotional intelligence. Because if you are in a meeting and suddenly you flip, you start to yelling at people, of course, those things does not work. And like those are bad project management practices. So what do you want? You want to continue to develop those skills. I just mentioned a few of them to make sure that at some point you are able to execute your projects in a more effortless way. Of course, this is a ramping up curve. That's why you have an entry level where everything that you need to do, you need to keep thinking about it. You need to keep figuring things out as you go. And at some point in your career, those things starts to go automatically. You're not going to be overthinking here. Okay, something happened in a meeting. How you're going to react? Even though you can be annoyed, you can be frustrated, you are going to understand, know yourself at some point that you can hold it back, how you're going to proceed, how you are going to react to make sure you have a positive interaction with your team and try to always to look for a way to have a positive outcome. And a positive outcome does not mean that the problem will be solved, just mean that you are approaching the challenge that you have in a more constructive way than just flipping out, for example. So the same way that you can build muscle memory by training, you can build also this kind of project management muscle memory also with practice, with repetition. And so I want to give you basically three things that will help you to build this muscle memory in your project because in the end, that's going to be critical for your progress and for your evolution there. Oh, let's start. The first thing that you need to build your muscle memory is make sure that you are acquiring knowledge. Make sure that you are getting knowledge there. You can go for reading a book, going for to seminars, trainings, um, asking advice for different people, consulting, and all different types of way that you can acquire knowledge, like asking a peer, asking someone more senior in your team. What do you want with acquiring knowledge? That might be kind of strange because I just mentioned a lot of practice. Well, because when you talk about a practice, it's very important that you don't go and you don't end up in a very common pitfall there because practice means that you're going to do something with the intent to improve it. And then, of course, if you keep practicing, improving, at some point you will reach your a high level in your skill, and then you can consider that you have a kind of muscle memory. Then you're going to be able to execute something effortless and with a good result. And why I mention this is a pitfall, because a lot of times people just execute things like maybe you have heard that before. I've heard that a lot in my career. I have been doing that for 20 years. I have been doing that for 30 years, and we always did like that. Well, first of all, does not mean just because you always did like that, that's a good solution. And even though if it was a good solution 30 years ago, the world has been changing quite a lot in the past 30 years, if you haven't noticed. So it's important that the repetition that you're doing, the practice that you're doing, also have something else there, an intent to improve, collecting a way to improve it. And there's a good way how can knowledge can help you there. For example, let me bring to an analogy here for like swimming. Well, if you want to know how to swim, you need to know at least the base movement that you need to do. Why? Because if you're just throwing the pool and you have no idea what kind of movement that you need to do it, the chances are that likely are not going to try to do that. It works in the same way with the jiu-jitsu or with any kind of sports or anything that you do. You need to have a basic understanding to execute something. For example, to create a business case. If you say, I'm going to draft a business case, but you have never seen a business case, you do not understand the financial statements that the business case is composed. If you don't know it, income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. You do not know the key performance indicators that the company is looking to the business case, and you do not know how the project evolving will affect the business case for this company. So this is a very important part, is to have a knowledge to understand, okay, what's a business case, how I can do it. And that's also another analogy that I can make here to drive a car. If you say, okay, I'm going to practice how to drive a car, but then you enter the car, you do not know how to turn the car on, you do not know about the gears, you do not know about the different pedals. You're going to look say, okay, how do I'm going to drive a car? How do I drive a car? Then you do not know the basic steps that you need to take there. So it's very important that you keep looking and acquiring knowledge. And it's very important that you do that in a constant and sustainable way. Why? Because it might be that what you learned 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there's a better way to do that. Remember, you want to practice, but you want to practice with the intent to improve it. You don't want to just accumulate amount of hours. So be aware of that. And why I'm saying that about practice. Otherwise, if you just accumulate an amount of hours of something would make you good, that would mean the any taxi driver there that has been doing that for I don't know 15 or 20 years could be a Formula One champion there. Why? Because they have so many hours driving, but does not say anything. It does not mean that they can be a Formula One world champion just because they have a lot of hours. So you need doing and improving. So that's kind of very important. So the first one is making sure that you are acquiring knowledge there. The second one, don't wait for the perfect conditions to start. Why I'm saying that? Because I talk with a lot of people and I hear a lot people say, "Yeah, but I work in a company that does not do proper project management." Well, first of all, what's proper project management? Proper project management is delivering value. If your company is delivering value, yes, they are doing proper project management. Does it mean that cannot be better? I bet that any company in the world can find a way to improve it, can find a way to be better. So, but even if you're working the company with the highest maturity in project management, or if you are working the company with the lowest maturity in project management, meaning that they don't have any project management procedure, they barely have a business case and just they execute things, there are things that you can learn in both of situations. So in both extremes you can learn, and of course also in the middle. So stop looking for say I'm going to learn project management when I'm in a company that's a better company, when it's a company it's more mature. Start learning project management where you are. Start practicing where you are. Because if you are working in a company that has a very low maturity there and you start to implement few things, the company is going to love it. And that's going to be a big opportunity for you to grow your career, to be promoted there. Because that means that you are adding much more value there. And in sooner or later, your salary will follow the kind of value that you can add in a company there. So that's a very important part. Like, don't wait for the perfect conditions. Start where you are. Start with what you have there. And but if you're thinking, so how you can start where you are? If you're working in a company, working with projects, how is the business case in those companies? Do they have a template for that? What are the important items that you have in a business case? What are the thresholds for the KPIs? If there's any, I don't know if the company has one, but if there's not, you can learn about it. Do you have a threshold? Do you know what's the discount rate or what's the WACC they have in the business case there? All those types of things, they are important. How is the governance in this company there? How the company approves a project there? If the project there's a lot of changes, how do you approve those changes in the type of project that you have? what kind of reporting the company has there, what kind of regular checkpoint the team has there. All those kind of things you can learn with project management. And of course, some companies they are going to be much higher in maturity there, bringing very nice results. Some other companies they are going to be very low, but again, you can learn in both cases. Because if you're working a very low maturity company there with project management, and see, you look to the business case, but there's no threshold there, for example. Then you can make this comment. Say, maybe it would be good, for example, have a threshold for gross margin. Why? Because the company goal here, the company target, is to have, as a company, a minimum gross margin of, I don't know, 30%, 35%, 40%, or whatever is the target for the company there. But we are executing projects that does not show any type of threshold here. So this is a problem. How can we improve that? And based on that, probably people will start to notice, oh, say, this person is looking how to improve and also how to bring better results for the company. So it's a quite good thing that you can do there. Saying, we have a project here, but there's kind of no governance structure. For your project, organize some type of governance structure. I will not be fully mature with all the stakeholders understanding. In the beginning, will be very likely a status report. So you present the status of the project for maybe some managers and field directors that they are key stakeholders and they need to know how things are going. But that's already step forward. The company does not do any cost reviews. Well, start to do cost reviews there. Those things will help you and the company where you are. And as I already mentioned, that will create opportunities for you. First, opportunities to practice your project management. So to develop the skills that you want to develop there, to create the muscle memory that you want there, and also will help the company driving better results, driving better maturity. So don't keep looking for a scenario where you're expecting that you're going to have an ideal scenario. No, that does not exist. No company has the ideal scenario. So if you are working a company that have a very high maturity, fine. If you know already this process, very high maturity, look, how can we improve this process? How can you make the process lean? How can you make the process faster? How can you improve quality? How can you reduce cost? All those types of things, those are questions or those are problems. The company will appreciate you to try to solve it because in the end, you are paid by the type of problems that you can solve. If you can reduce the time to market, for example, from a company, that's a very good step. Then that will help you in your journey. So keep that in mind there when you are thinking about it. So the step number two is don't wait for the special situation, ideal situation. Start where you are. Start with what you have. And the step number three there is feedback. And why I'm saying feedback, I already mentioned that just because you are doing something a lot of times does not mean that you are improving. So it's very important that you understand how can you improve it in each step that you are making. For example, you can improve a report, you can improve a business case, you can improve your leadership skills, you can improve how you are going to interact with your team, you can improve your emotional intelligence. Say you don't need to flip in people there, you don't need to be annoyed with everything. Learn how learn about yourself, learn about how your development. So feedback is very essential because I've seen people trying to improve in their career, but they barely get any feedback there. So going to the analogy again, because we are talking about muscle memory. What professional athletes they have? They have a coach. What's one of the what's the goal of having a coach? Well, the coach will watch you to do something, will watch you to react to something, and they are going to tell you, oh, this stage here you can improve that, in this stage here you can improve that, in this stage here you can change that. And the coach will also will push the athletes to go a bit higher. For example, if they are weightlifting, they weighted 100 kilos. I know that 100 kilos is nothing for weightlifting. Okay, just give me. I'm just using a rounded number there. Then say, okay, let's try 101. So The coach will help you to go one step further, will challenge you to go one step further. Why? Because they kind of, I see that a very nice analogy talking about how a good coach should work. Like if you have a chip, the good coach lately, the one that taking out the wool there, meaning that he's always cutting the wool and the wool is growing again, but needs to make sure that also it does not. The coach needs to make sure that he does not or she does not cut off the skin of the sheep. Why? Because if you take it out the skin, so you're not going to have the wool anymore. So then that's how a coach should help you to approach your things, challenging you, showing, okay, you are improving on these, those are the things that you can do better, give you ideas. A coach can help you with your knowledge, say, okay, I see that you're struggling here to understand a business case, you need to learn the basics on finance. I see that we got different, you can get, so that's how a coach or how a mentor can help you. Coming back to the feedback, well, what's the last time that you received feedback? You can ask feedback from your manager, you can ask feedback from your team members, you can ask feedback from a friend, from even from your wife, for your husband, from your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you have there. Why it's important? Because I talk a lot of people that, and I always suggest them to start collecting feedback because the feedback will help you to identify blind spots. The same way as a coach or as a mentor they doing, a feedback it's an outsider perspective. And of course, sometimes they say something that does not make sense, and you always need to analyze and to understand the feedback. But feedback is essential. Otherwise, you keep doing something exactly in the same way for hours without improving. So the solution is not working extra hours. The solution is not putting more effort. The solution is being more effective in what you're doing. And of course, to be more effective, as part of it, you can learn to use a tool, a productivity tool. Like if you don't use an agenda, you can use an agenda. Or there's a different types of productivity tool that you can have there. You can also do reviews every day to plan your day up front, like what I do from what I'm doing here from my side. And by the way, that comes also from different productivity trainings I did in my life. Every day in the evening, I review what should I do the next day. So as a bare minimum, what are the five things that you need to accomplish in the other day? Meaning how you are going to use the time in the next day for the things that you need to do it. It can be you're going to use your time in meetings. It can be that you're going to use your time with reviews. It can be that you're going to use your time to study. There's a lot of different ways. But you put it in that way and you organize an agenda based on that. Ideally, depending on the type of that you want to do it, you're going to do in the morning. Why? Because most of people, not everyone, some people are much more productive in the morning. I am one of those people that my brain is much sharper, like just after breakfast. Then it is like 6 p.m. or then it is at 10 p.m. So that's one of the ways that can help you to boost your productivity there. And why feedback? Because if you have someone looking to you, and when I mention feedback, there's plenty of people that you can ask feedback. Those people will help you with different blind spots, and those people can help you also to connect knowledge that you don't have. For example, just when I mentioned about productivity, if you're working on, and I've seen that a lot of project managers doing that, unfortunately, trying to manage big projects in a timeline in Excel. Say, yeah, if you do that in MS project, you can be much more effective. Meaning that instead of wasting 5 hours to update an Excel file and still have a risk that you're missing a lot of stuff, you can do that in 30 minutes using MS Project. So you're being much more effective with your time. So you don't need, so you have more time to do more productive, more useful tasks that will help you to progress into your career. Because very important point that you need to understand also when you are about the tasks that you're doing every day is there's two types of tasks. One type of task it's kind of task that just consume your time, but you need to do it. Like you need to pay your credit card bill, you need to take out the trash out of your house. So those are things that you need to do it, but they are not going to help you to progress in your life. Or of course, taking out the trash off your life. If you are leaving the trash, yeah, that does not help your mentality and everything else. So yeah, my people might argue that helps. Yes, but in general, it's not going to help just because you take the trash out and you don't do anything else. That also will not help you to progress with your career. So this is one type of the task. And what's other type of task? That's the one that really helps you to progress. Learning. Do you study? Do you do trainings? Do you read a book? This is the kind of thing that will bring you new insights, new type of knowledge that will help you to progress into your career. Practicing how to run a meeting, for example. Have you one of the things that you can do? Very simple where you are. If there's a type of regular meeting that can be done, just ask the project manager, the responsible for the meeting, if you can run the meeting once, prepare the agenda, you manage the stakeholders, make sure that you start and end the meeting on time, because that also helps you with your time management skills. And after you do that, you go and you ask for feedback. Say, okay, how do you think I can be more effective in those meetings here? So you're progressing your skills. You're taking the steps which you need to take there. And how those things they are going to help you again between practice the type of muscle memory. Your brain will create connections, which in reality, when you are going to be when you are going up in a project manager position, a senior position, or even a manager position, because all those types of skills they are also required to be a manager. It will be so part of you that the muscle memory will be so good there that you are going to learn how you start and end meetings at the time. It might sound very stupid, but I've seen a lot of people that they drag meetings for hours. And sometimes it's difficult, sometimes managing the time of the meetings, depending on the type of discussion, might be challenging, but it's a very good skill to have. Because you can imagine when you talk about, again, productivity, if you have a meeting that should take 1 hour and it ends up taking 3 hours, you just lost 2 hours from your effective time there that you cannot do it. Then what's going to happen if those are tests that you need to do it? You're going to do it later on. So you're working extra. If you work extra, you get more tired. If you get more tired, probably you're not the sharpest that you can be. So that starts to have a lot of different implications there. So it's quite important that you practice and you practice in a way that you can get feedback. Again, get feedback from your manager. And regardless your position, if you say, yeah, but I'm not working with project management right now, ask feedback for your manager where you are. And if you don't know how to ask feedback, use the model. Stop things that you should stop doing, start things that you should start doing, and continue things that you are doing and you should keep doing it. Always use this format because that helps also to avoid that you just enter an unstructured discussion when people tell you, you are great, we work together well. Well, feedback it's very important, but it's important that you have something that you can do with that. Because if the feedback is like, you are great, okay, what are you going to do with that? It might be very nice, you kind of boost a bit your ego, but that's it. Remember, what do you want? You want continuous the improving loops, improving loops, improving loops. So you start to develop and grow yourself, and grow your career. So when you are talking about feedback, it's very important that you get some structure there. That's why I'm suggesting you to use the model stop, start, and continue. And if you don't know the model, just go to my Instagram. There's also a post about there where you have the model ready with the questions there. Then you can just follow it. But it's very important that you don't miss those things. Because in the end, building this muscle memory there will make that's what's going to make you perform. Do you think a top athlete they need to think about if you think about weightlifting? Do you need they think about the movement? Say, oh, first I'm going to do this, turn my arms like that, and No, that goes naturally. That's the muscle memory that they have been building for years of training. And that's what you want as a project manager. You want some your skills that they go and flow naturally without you having to think about it. Oh, but how do I do that? You want your skills to kick in, leadership skills again, emotional intelligence skills, problem solving skills, team working skills, but also the basic, well, the hard skills, if you want to call like that, finance, waterfall, agile, scrum, kanban, because all those things they are going to kick in naturally once you are facing those challenges, and that's of course that will make a big difference in your career. So make sure that you start to build your muscle memory your project management muscle memory there. And just to wrap up, the three items so that you need to focus on is for first one, like start where you are with what you have. Don't wait for the any special condition. Number two, always look for ways to acquire knowledge and to build on, because in the end you're going to need this knowledge to build your skills. And number three, make sure that you're always executing, you're always practicing, but you also have feedback to understand how you can improve it and how you can move forward with your career. Don't forget to like and share this video here so we can get more people and more people can learn project management. But also don't forget to follow me. Every week there's more content on my YouTube channel, and every day there's more content on my Instagram channel. Also, there I have a daily Q&A box that you can ask all types of project management questions there, and I'm there to support you. Hopefully, I'm going to see you soon again. Bye.